Okay, so we're gonna do this to save this week's video. Hi, this is Joakim Comic Center, and this is probably gonna be the first official Q&A video that I ever made, because I never bothered to ask you guys if you had any questions actually, I think. But yeah, I just submitted one or two posts yesterday, and a few of you reached out with some questions. Thank you so very much. You're saving this week's video. So we have some questions from the audience that I'm gonna take up in this video. So let's go. All of these questions were submitted to me through Instagram, so if you don't follow me there, go ahead, there's a link down below. And this first question is from Comics Coda. And the question is, what was the first time you experienced media that made you a comics fan? I'm gonna deep dive into all of these questions. So first, my first thought was, of course, thinking about Batman the Animated Series as well as Spider-Man the Animated Series, because different media, sure, but somewhere you just knew that this was originated from comic books, or maybe you've seen some of the covers when you were little, going through the market store or something like that. And yeah, much like any kid brought up in the 90s, Batman and Spider-Man the Animated Series was the first media that I came into contact with. Of course, it was the Swedish dub as well, something that it's been fun to hunt down recently. Actually, just a lot of Swedish dub things for things that I used to watch as a kid. And yeah, other than that, I think I picked up a Spider-Man comic book here and there. Also, they used to translate all the American comics. Maybe have two issues instead of in one issue published here in Sweden, just because the market was always behind on what was available in the States. But yeah, that was my real first experience with the comic book media, I would say, through either watching the TV shows on Saturday morning or a Spider-Man comic book that we just bought on summer vacation or holiday. Next question is submitted from arod720. My man, what was the highest amount of books you owned at one time? And it's a good question, because I really didn't know the answer until I had to check this out myself. So behind me, you can see about 3 Billy IKEA bookshelves, and they amount to somewhere around 330 comic book graphic novel collected editions. And that's just a third of what I initially had when I had the most. So I had to go back to my graphic novel collection video back in 2018 and just start counting each and every book. I don't think I even counted all the books for that video. I just submitted it to at least have to be somewhere around 900. So I counted each and every one, and I was a little bit scared actually as I went on counting and think this is gonna be over 1,000 books, and I can't believe that I had so many books. But the total amount at the time of 2018, as documented by that graphic novel collection video, was 946 collected comic book editions. And that's a lot. And the reason why I have so much less now is because in 2019, I moved to another city to go ahead and study. And I brought all my comic books with me and collected editions, and it took it took 3 car trailers, you know, that you hooked onto a car and fill it up as much as you can go. And yeah, it took 3 trailers to just ship everything that I had at that time. And that's a lot. And my dad told me, sort of like a joke with a glimpse in his eye, but I know he was serious, but he told me that you, son, you need to sell off half of this or you're not going to get any help with moving this back in 2 years when you're finished studying. And I took that to heart. And I had, just before moving, stumbled upon this documentary called Minimalism. And yeah, it really got to me. It really affected me and started me to think about how much stuff I had and what each and everything gave to me, and just what it did to my life and everything. And at the time I felt that, okay, I had plenty. Maybe I have a little too much even. So that is what started me to sell off some part of my collection, or over half of my collection. So yeah, but the peak, 946. And our next question is from Parker XLXX. Is it difficult dealing with selling or buying in the aftermarket in your country? And nice segue question to what I just told you, that I've been selling off a lot of my books, and all of them has been in Sweden. So yeah, I brought in stuff from America, but I never really shipped out to America or any other country in Scandinavia or Europe, even though the option is of course there. But I feel like once you got the books here in Sweden, you have a huge advantage for other collectors, that they don't have to deal with import charges or shipping from another country, especially if you're selling off a book that isn't available here in Sweden. So I've sold off a few of those books, some rare ones like the Image Compendiums of Witchblade, and I forgot the other one, Dark something. It's so long ago. I had a lot of Image Top Cow editions that I didn't see in the market here in Sweden. Lots of those went kind of fast in the aftermarket. And I mean, pretty much anything that you're selling off in the aftermarket, as long as it's the right price, there's no trouble in getting rid of it. It all depends on how much money you are willing to let it go for. But otherwise, no, I wouldn't say that I struggled. I sold off over 400 books in 1 year when I really started to dive into my collection on what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to get rid of or get again, but in another edition, because I really wanted to push my graphic novel collection edition numbers down. So not necessarily have less stories collected, but just in a smaller or bigger format, actually. Like taking Why the Last Man, all the 5 deluxe editions, selling those off, then buying the omnibus, pushing 5 volumes down to 1. That was the case in a lot of these editions that I have now, and still doing so with upcoming omnibus editions from DC and Marvel. I wouldn't say that I really struggle. The market is pretty open as long as you give the right price. So thanks for the question. And the last question for this video is submitted by Jeff on Instagram. What fellow comic YouTubers do you follow? Excellent questions. Let me start by telling you, I used to follow a lot more, but we'll get into that. Maybe. But today, just like my impressions of just like wanting to have less distractions and everything, I opt, like with having too many books or too many videos or films or games or whatever. I did the same with all of my subscriptions on YouTube and everything. If I want to look up a YouTuber, I do so. Maybe I'm not necessarily subscribed to them just because I don't want to see videos coming up in my feed all the time of videos that I might not be interested in. But I check out a lot more comic book YouTubers than I'm subscribed to, if that makes any sort of sense. Let's start off with Omnibuddy. Mitch, my man. He is a such a pure soul in this comic book community, and he delves into a lot of stuff that I'm interested to as well. Not only comic books, but also some kind of TCG games like Magic the Gathering and whatnot. And I'm not necessarily a Magic the Gathering fan, but I do play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and that's for free, and that's lucky me, because that is a lot of money. If one would actually get into a TCG game, any of them really, I find comfort in his channel because he posts haul videos maybe just as much as I do, and maybe try to do other videos instead, like review videos, and like I said, some card opening videos. So it's not necessarily just comic books that you find on these videos. And I talked to him in the past on my old show, just Finding Fandom, and it was a really great talk. I talked to a lot of people back then, going back 3 and 4 years ago, when we were still in the pandemic and everything, so I had a lot of spare time, and I really enjoyed that and really should get back into it, just talking to people, just live, or it doesn't have to be live streamed. I just like to reach out to more people like back then. But yeah, Mitch's channel is great and you should really check it out. Then we have another channel, which is the incredible CJ's Collectibles. And CJ, which I think he added Collectibles lately. It was the incredible CJ for a long time. And a long time, I mean going back 12 years almost. I think I followed him the longest. I think we lost touch in a few years, just not making videos, either one of us. But I rediscovered him, and just I find some sort of connection. He's trying to start his own shop in the future, just building up funds and a collection, both private and to sell off and to have in his future store. And I just like that. It's a familiarity with having talked to him in a lot of my earlier videos. I've deleted so much of my videos on this channel, but a lot of back and forth in the early days with a whole nother set of comic book YouTubers that don't necessarily post nowadays, which is a shame. But of course, as life goes on, I can understand that other things get in the way to not just only post comic book YouTube videos all the time. But CJ, he's like my age, and yeah, he's a really swell guy, and if I ever were in the States, love to meet him. And yeah, go follow the incredible CJ as well, or check him out. And third one, still subscribed and been for a long time, and that is of course Yes, also known as Omnidog in Omnidogs Vault. And yes, I've had the pleasure to join him on several occasions on live streams, both on his and my channel. And I mean, yes, I mean he's the great uncle to all of us in the comic book community, I would think. I don't know if there's anyone that's not subscribed to him or haven't heard of him, but he's like the heart of the community. He should know that, and it's always a pleasure talking to him, and we have this back and forth. He still can't pronounce my name for any amount of effort, nope. And it's all fun and good. And whenever we talk in the live stream, it's always me just trying to be this sort of mentor into calling his collection, just trying to make him find that, okay, yes, there's no way that you can read all of these books once again in this lifetime. But not really like that harsh. It's all fun and good. And yeah, I mean, if you haven't checked out, check out Omnidogs Vault here on YouTube. You'll love him. Okay, and last but not least, I want to mention Day, OmniNation Comics. Day Day is, I mean, he's also heart of the community. I mean, there's so many people that could represent that actually, but Day Day, he's close to my age, and I share much more than just the passion for comic books and collected editions, but I also share our interest for photography and videography, and that makes me feel closer to these people, even though we are a whole Atlantic Sea apart. It's always nice talking to him. I mean, he's over in Vegas, I'm here in rainy Sweden, and it's like, whenever I talk to him on DMs and whatnot, I always have to look up, okay, what is the time over there right now? Because maybe over here it's like 3 in the morning. So one of us is probably always tired whenever we get the chance to speak. But yeah, it's all fun, and if you haven't checked out Day Day, you should really do so. He has a crazy collection of omnibus editions, and his room is just awesome, filled with posters everywhere. It's personality all over on that channel, I would say, so please check him out. So with that was all the questions for the Q&A. Even though it was only 4 questions, I thank you so much for submitting these questions, because you saved this video. And if you have more questions, of course, it doesn't have to stop with this video. You can always comment down below and happily answer them. Love answering comments because it makes this community still feel alive. So thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to check out all of the YouTubers that I mentioned down below. And you can also check out other links like Instagram, where most of these questions were submitted. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you in another video. Bye bye. Now let's read some comics.